I actually, in this case, believe that it kind of was a coincidence that the state trooper we just ended up at a light side by side together. And, I looked at him and, I saw he was looking at me at the light. I knew I was going to get pulled over right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I was kind of nervous. I tell you, usually I'm usually a pretty cool dude. I usually don't get nervous or make mistakes like that. But I'll tell you, I was looking at him out of the corner of my eye to the left, and I saw out of my right eye, I saw the light turn green. And I took my foot off the brake and the car started moving. I crossed the white line and then I realized that the light didn't turn green. It was the turn arrow. The left turn arrow turned green.
Oh,
So I stopped. But my front tires were over the line. So now I'm sitting next to the cop and I moved up about 5 feet and then stopped. Well, as soon as the light turned, he slid in behind me and he used that as a pretense to stop me. They have what they call pretense stops, pretext stops, and that's what happened. Technically, yeah, I moved across the white line and he did give me a ticket. He called it, disregarding a traffic signal. And, it was described publicly like I disregarded the red light and I ran a red light. But the fact of the matter is the front tires of the car went across the white line. That's all I did. That was the facts of the matter. But he used that as a pretense to stop me. He pulled me over about a mile or so down the road and, he asked me, to search the car. And if you look at the video, I have a video of the stop and everything online. A few times actually, but he admits, he asked me to stop to search the car, and I said no. And then he called it in and got a judge to do it. It took a few hours. I said no, and
yeah, that's what I was saying. It's not like they can just call in a couple of minutes, have a warrant. I think this guy went out of his way to target you because you're black.
Well, after I was stopped. Like you said, I am kind of well known. So after I was stopped, he did, ask me, like I looked familiar to him, but he didn't know where exactly he knew me from. And at some point, he realized who I was. I told him who I was. And then he remembered, oh, you're the guy with the website, the marijuana guy, right?
Yeah, and you run for political office there.
Right, I ran for office there. I mean, he did have a vague recollection of me, but he didn't know from where. At least that was, and I kind of believed him when he was trying to figure out, he was trying to figure out like who I was, where he knew me from. And I think that could have contributed to him wanting to pull me over in the first place when we were side by side and he's looking at me and I'm looking at him. And, he just, that was when he made his decision to pull me over. And I knew it, and that made me a little nervous, like I said. And, I inched across them white lines and gave him a gift, and he pulled me over. And, the rest is history. For the last 2 years, we've been fighting it out ever since that night. And, I just got a mixed verdict, a mixed win. I think the prosecutor is going to be prevented from actually, going through.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
The reason I asked that, Ed, is because I've been reading the papers and stuff, or, reading the online reports on this, and he's been saying some things in to the media that he knows who you are. He may have even argued in court, talked about your internet celebrity, I think is the words he might have used. But in the articles that I'm seeing, it's like, he feels like you're a trophy. He zeroed in on you. Okay, yeah, this New Jersey Weedman, he's run for office, pro legal marijuana legalization advocate. Yeah, I'm making an example out of you. And so I hope what you say is true, that, he is prevented from wasting any more of the taxpayers' money in what I would call a malicious prosecution. Because I could see it if you had, scales, baggies, the typical things that a pot distributor would have. But like you said, he didn't have any of that. And seven jurors, agreed that you weren't attempting to distribute. So I just hope it turns out, like you say. So you think what, that he's not going to be able to go forward because of why?
Well, like I said, you know, the word around the courtroom is there's pressure for him not to do it. And see, there's another thing that came up in court that you know, New Jersey had passed its medical marijuana bill 3 months before I got pulled over.
Right.
Uh, you know, I publicly sometimes find it hard to talk about, but basically I've been a cancer patient for the last like 12 years. I get bone tumors. You know, not only have I been an advocate of the legalization of marijuana, the advocate of the legalization or the use of medical marijuana, I'm also a patient, you know, and I've been using marijuana for a long time. So this is one of the things that I was able to successfully argue to the jury that I am a cancer patient. You know, I suffer from painful tumors, and one of the good things about marijuana is it takes the edge off of pain, especially constant deep pain. You know, and I'm one of these people that I don't want to use some of these painkillers, the legal painkillers out here
that are highly addictive.
Yeah, the opiates, I don't even use Tylenol. You know, I basically like, you know, instead of using Tylenol, I'll twist one up and smoke it all. You know, like that's how I feel. Even if I have like a headache, very rarely will I use a Tylenol or an aspirin or anything like that. I'll smoke me a joint and lay down. You know, and the jury believed that. The jury believed that, you know, hey, this guy is a heavy user. You know, he's not hiding it. He constantly uses it, and you know, maybe it was all for him, and they couldn't prove it or disprove it. But the state couldn't prove it or disprove it either that I was selling it. So the jury is obligated, you know, in our system to presume the presumption of innocence, and I'm presumed innocent unless the state can prove otherwise, and the state couldn't prove otherwise. You know, and like I said, I countered his claim. You know, the state, like I said, if you have over 50 grams, the state will automatically charge you with possession with intent to distribute. Well, I countered that with, I'm a heavy user, I use it all the time, maybe that 50 grams isn't enough. Maybe it should be in pound increments. Maybe I buy my marijuana in pounds, just like the tobacco user who decides to buy a carton of cigarettes. Instead of a pack a day, he buys a carton of cigarettes a month. The person who buys a 5-pound bag of coffee and makes it themselves in the morning, as opposed to stopping at the convenience store or McDonald's every morning for a cup of coffee. You know, even, you know, when you buy a gallon of milk, you know, as opposed to a little pint of milk. You know, same thing with me. You know, I'd much rather buy my marijuana in bulk. It's cheaper that way. It's safer that way. If you know, I was traveling from California to New Jersey. I didn't want to come here to New Jersey and be subjected to inferior weed, inferior marijuana, inferior quality is what I'm talking about on the street corners. You know, I was dealing with high quality marijuana in California, and there was no reason for me to, you know, simply because I was going to be in New Jersey for a couple weeks, to subject myself to the dangers of buying street marijuana. When I say the dangers, you know, the danger of going to a dangerous street corner to buy marijuana where I could be robbed,
right?
Where I could get not marijuana up to standard quality, and who knows what's been put in it on the street, and the prospect of running the gauntlet of police officers who are trying to catch people coming in and out of drug areas buying marijuana. So this was all, to me, as part of my right to safety, you know, to have my own pound of marijuana with me.